chapter 3.
Chapter 2 lit review, and then chapter 3 lit review, and then 3.1 chapter introduction. But then you go section 2.2, 2.3.
Yeah, this is chapter 2, but I don't know why it shows this.
Yeah, okay. So it's OneDrive. No, that's why I asked you to check, because looking at it seems very messy. Do you get what I mean? That's why I'm just asking you to check. But it's fine. If you say that your document is fine, then it's fine. Before you submit it, please PDF it.
Okay.
Just in case anything happens. Yeah?
Okay.
Erin.
And I think that the chapter numbers in the contents are right, so I don't know why it shows that in the document.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you get the same view, Erin?
I do on the web. I've just downloaded the document to see if it actually has it on the download, because I was the same thing. I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense, but you'd already put that comment there. Hang on. I'm just scrolling through. Come on. You've written a lot of words, Yushin. No, it's good. I'm teasing.
200 pages.
It's very pleasing.
Too long, because
no,
I see that Sarah sent there's a file that says the length of the document should be 60 to 100, like that.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. No, on the downloaded version, it's consistent. So it's just OneDrive that's just making it go.
Stuffing it up. And can you have a look at the table of contents with the download version? Does it make sense? Does it look all pretty and nice?
Hang on. I just closed it. I'll do is I'll share screen. Oh dear. So 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 2.
Yeah, no, that looks fine.
That looks nice. Yep.
The OneDrive, the page numbers were all over the place. And like the indentation was also all over.
So if you have a look here, like chapter 1 and then chapter 1, but the one that like the literature review one, if I go, I'll cheat and go to it. So chapter 2 literature review, chapter 2 literature review.
Yeah. So it's fine.
It's got your comment there saying, "Can you please check?"
Yeah.
That's
fine.
But it's actually fine. So I have no idea why. Where is it in the other one? Hang on. I'll go back to it. I have no idea why it is doing what it is doing.
If some of my comments don't make sense to you, you're going, oh, it's nice and pretty, whereas I'm going, it looks really messy. Then just forget it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just my
for example,
view versus your view.
Chapter 3, you need to check your chapter numbers.
Yeah.
And then chapter 3. So this is correct. So but it's the same for me when I'm looking at the OneDrive version. I get the same errors that Ming Chao gets. So it's just obviously OneDrive is being silly. So as long as you're working on your downloaded version, which is correct, and then uploading it, then that's fine.
Okay.
I must admit, I haven't had a chance to read it in depth. So I went and looked. I didn't look at the methodology chapter because you're updating that. I went back and looked at the sections that we talked about before, and they are reading with greater consistency and I think with greater strength now. Now that we've moved the research objectives into the analysis and interpretation chapter, the discussion and findings chapter reads with greater fluency. I think it makes sense. There's no stop and start. So that's good. There was another comment. I can't remember if it was in the introduction or the conclusion chapter, how you haven't highlighted the significance of the research or your contribution.
Intro.
I think that's really, yeah,
So
that's
this
really
should
important
be
to do that.
A subsection. Okay.
Yeah.
There's also, can you just quickly scroll down? I have a squeeze of her conclusion section, Erin. I might be being anal, but I
What,
think
for each chapter or the book?
no, the conclusion chapter. I think the conclusion chapter needs to follow the same. She's got is she's basically got just like one or two.
Oh yes, no, I'm in agreement to that. I think you need to have the same sort of format
Structure.
as subsections. Yep.
Okay.
And it will only be like if I go back to my conclusion chapter, where is
It's
that
not
now?
long.
No, it is only, and of course I don't have it there. Hang on. It is only a couple of pages long, even for a PhD. It is not long at all in here, perhaps.
Basically, just summarizing.
Yep. Yeah.
Your thesis and highlighting the important points.
Let me go to the very end where there's conclusion. No, they're appendices. We don't want appendices. Go away. Don't want appendices. Oh, lots of pretty pictures in my appendices. Oh, lots of references. Come on. All right, so no, that's that. That's findings, you dickhead. I'm so tired. Finding 6. This is my work, not your work, Yishins. That's why there's 6 findings. On those 8 findings. I had a lot of findings, Ming Tao.
I have 9.
Show off.
Which makes sense to me now.
Yes.
I just had findings coming out of my ears. Like, this is a finding, that is a finding. When I look at it now and it doesn't make sense. Anyway.
No, it made perfect sense.
It made perfect sense at that time.
Does it now? It's like, how on earth? What was I smoking to be on that?
I don't care.
So, you can see here, the conclusion chapter, you've got like section 9.2 provides a summary of the answers to the research question.
Okay.
Section 9.3 summarizes the contribution to information systems knowledge. So you just do the contribution to research, not the substantive, methodological, and theoretical. Yeah. Section 9.5 indicates the implications for practice.
But yours is a practical PhD, though. Hers isn't.
No, but don't worry about that. Yeah. Sorry. Section 9.4 will be limitations of the research.
Yep.
And then section 9.5 will be future directions. And then section 9.7 will be the summary. Now, if you look at this, so the summary is the research findings. So you usually present your key findings first, and then you provide a couple of paragraphs like you started to do answering the research questions. So you can see it's only a couple of paragraphs. Mine are long paragraphs, but it's only a couple ones. Don't worry about that. Your research contribution, you just have a paragraph there, not like what I've done because it's PhD.
I can see the contribution chapter. The screen scrolling slow. Yeah.
She wants to see the contribution section.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you've already got some of this already in your introduction chapter and your methodology. You've already hinted at this. So essentially, you can what we usually do is you cut and paste it either end of the document and then change a few words. Again, it's that repetition. It's giving that bookend approach.
So the conclusion will be a lot shorter than what you've got.
But it's very similar to the introduction.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can basically just cut sections.
Yeah, the only thing that's really different between the introduction and the conclusion is there's no summaries of the separate chapters in the conclusion, and you're making more emphasis on what your limitations and scope of your research is in your in your conclusion, and you're talking a little bit more about future research.
Okay.
So, we go down.
And I mentioned that the literature I found that the 16 literature are not a large number, so this is one of my limitations. But I don't know if they.
No, I wouldn't,
Not
because you're a
necessarily.
qualitative researcher. That's not a limitation. Don't worry about that. That was what happened with your search terms. So don't use that.
So should I change my limitations? I'm not sure if there are any.
Your limitations is essentially time, because you only have 12 months, 10 months to do the study. That you're doing it for a particular, you're limiting this to one pandemic, COVID-19, which is unique. And this, therefore, you may have outcomes that you can't just generalize them. And that's not the point of your research. So you need to say the point of your research is not to generalize, but if people want to use this, they're going to have to use their own inference to decide whether it's applicable. Thank you for that word. And so, like, if you have here, both Ming Chao and I had this in our, like, it's a statement, case study research, but you can use, qualitative research is often linked with a lack of generalizability because it's bounded by your research frame. So remember, quantitative researchers rely on statistical tests that are replicable and repeatable if you do it right. We don't do that in qualitative research because we're dealing with humans' thoughts and feelings. So you cannot guarantee that even if you present a human being with the exactly same variables on a different day, that they're going to react in exactly the same way, because we're humans.
Okay.
Researcher bias is something that you need to talk about because it's qualitative research. Again, you don't, I've gone into it a bit because it was a PhD. You just simply need to acknowledge that you are doing qualitative research, and particularly the data analysis requires your interpretation of the research questions and the application of data analytics. And you've done it in a systematic way to show transparency. But again, you can't guarantee that if Ming Chao or I did it or someone else did it, even if we followed your data analysis process, we would get the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. It's just a statement of fact for qualitative research. And then
so
scope.
The statement should be in the limitation section. Okay.
Yeah, research limitations. And as you can see, like if I go back up to the start, the conclusion chapter, and this is for a PhD, is only it's only 8 pages, essentially. Yeah, 8 pages, but that's for a PhD. So I would cut that in half nearly, because I also had 8 findings and 4 key findings I had to talk about. So yeah.
So I need to talk more about my findings to show to summarize.
So if you borrow Erin's headings, you pretty much will know what you need to write. It's basically a very much simplified version of what she's got.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on.
So like rather than spending, I think, was it 3 pages or whatever, 3 pages on research contributions, you only need a paragraph.
Yeah. And again, the message with the conclusion chapter is you recycle a lot of your work from other sections of your thesis. I'm just going to put it in chat. Oh, it's not. Why? Hang on. Let me open up a Word document.
And I take a screenshot. I can type it myself.
Oh, you've done a screenshot? Okay, cool. I will stop trying to copy that.
It's hard to copy from the PDFs.
Yeah. I know why I protected it, so you can't copy from it.
Okay.
I have to remember the password. Anyway, did you have any other comments, Ming Chao?
What I could think of have flunked in there. I don't really,
Yeah.
which is why I put it on OneDrive.
It has come together really nicely, Yishin. It really has. So now we just need to make sure that methodology chapter's okay. And then make sure you finish your thesis strongly with your conclusion.
Okay.
And you're nearly there. Like, you are in a better position for Wednesday than I thought you'd be. I thought it might be a little bit more messier. So that's good. So well done. You've probably got no sleep over the last 3 days.
Yeah. And what should I write in the abstract?
The abstract is always about a one-pager. The abstract is like a really short version of your intro and conclusion chapter combined. Each paragraph has a specific point it's talking about. So you usually have a paragraph that introduces the research, paragraph that introduces the overarching literature, and then a paragraph that then says what the research gap is because of that literature. You then have your research questions outlined. You have your methodological approach. Then you have your findings and future research statement.
So should I have
essentially what it is.
The subheadings for the
No, so the abstract, if you look at the
abstract is just a few paragraphs, no headings.
Okay.
So again, remember this is a PhD, and our PhD abstracts are a lot more
longer.
You can see how. So the abstract. So if you look here, I'll just move this over here. If you look here, this first paragraph is an introduction. It's talking about what the research is. The second paragraph is about the literature. It's giving an outcome. It's giving a summary of the literature. Then it's gone into a methodology. What is the methodology? Then it's talked about how it was analysed. And after that, it's the key findings. So you would use the key findings for your research. Then it talks about the contribution. And that's it.
So yeah. I don't need to mention my limitation with the abstract.
No, not in your abstract. No, we don't. People don't need to know what they are in your abstract. The abstract is an attention grabber. This is what my research is in a nutshell. Do you want to read more about it? So you have to have enough information in there so people understand the main things that have happened, but you don't put too much information. So it's usually about one page.
Okay.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to end with that, Ming Chao? Nope. So I think the next step is, once you've done the changes to your methodology, what date are we up to now?
It's the last round of feedback tomorrow.
Yeah,
because
tomorrow
she needs
morning.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to try and get it to us tomorrow morning by 9 a.m. so we can meet you at 2 o'clock for a quick meeting for any last final touches. So what Ming Chao and I will be looking at tomorrow is your methodology chapter, because that's the major change, and then how your probably discussion and conclusion chapter finally looks, just to make sure, because they're the major things. The literature review, it's been through a check anyway before, because you had that as part of an assessment. Your analysis chapter, Ming Chao and I have been through several times. Your methodology chapter, while it had been through a check, you're updating stuff, so we need to double check that.
Okay.
And then it's your discussion and conclusion, just to make sure it finishes the thesis off. So we won't be reading every word tomorrow. We're going to be spot checking.
Okay.
Do you need us to go through the comments made with you one by one, or you're happy to just go through it and make changes?
Me?
Yeah. You.
Yeah, I check your comments.
She needs sleep.
She does need sleep.
and I will download it later to solve the comments.
Okay, so yeah, so if there's anything that you don't understand, you can ask tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ishan raised a question about the research objective 1. So research objective 1 is an analysis of the literature, but I would have thought that there would be some interpretation to that as well. What are your thoughts?
I think so as well. Because it doesn't make sense otherwise if the other two have had interpretation and that one hasn't.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then there's something need to be said. Oh no, that's not. No, that's fine because let's move to analysis and interpretation, isn't it?
Yeah, it reads as an analysis interpretation, I feel.
Okay, so she doesn't need to make any changes to that section then.
I don't think so. I don't think anything stands out. The reason why I had a problem with that section before, and much like you, I think, is because even though we knew it was a literature review sort of part of the research objectives, because the other two didn't have the references, even though it was an interpretation, it didn't fit with that section. But now we've put it into the analysis interpretation chapter, it fits because that was the point of the objective. And so the analysis
so you
is
think it's
the
fine,
interpretation.
you don't think there needs to be any changes in her discussion for RO1, so particularly the bit that she moved.
I think under 6.3, addressing the research objectives, that needs to be, that bit there, the introduction. So it sort of jumps a little bit. That bit there needs to be. So I'll share the screen so you know. This bit here, 6.3, that needs to be rewritten so it flows nicely into a interpretation, and it's just guiding the reader. You know, now the result, now we've gone through the analysis. Section 5.x presented the analysis of the results. This section is now going to explore the interpretation in order to address the research objectives 1, 2, and 3, remind people of what they are, and then that will flow. That means
then
you have that nicer flow.
The prefer sections.
Yeah. Yeah. That will flow nice, and then you don't have to change anything else, because at the moment it's just like, what does that mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So rewrite each of those sentences a little bit so it takes the reader on that story. Yeah.
And you'll have to work on the conclusion section as well. Fair bit to do, Ishan.
I can do this.
You can sleep soon, just not quite yet. Oh, the only other thing that I did was I went through your thesis, and any bits where it had page numbers as XX, I highlighted them for you.
Yeah, I did not complete the refining for this because I'm not sure if there will be any changes in the page number.
And that's perfectly fine, but I didn't want it to get lost for you.
Yeah, so you don't want to submit. You don't want to submit.
And have an XX, so I went
page XX. Yeah.
So I went and highlighted for you so it catches your eye, and then if for some reason you miss it, it'll catch our eye. Look at any highlights and go, what's that?
I think we should just go through the document and highlight all the X.
Yeah, so I've done that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you happy with where this is going?
Yeah.
Can you see the end? Like, can you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes, I think that after I complete my methodology chapter and the refining for the conclusion chapter is nearly there.
Yeah. The important thing is it's what you've done, so you need to be happy with it.
Okay. So do we have chance to get it published? like modify
Like
it to
publish a paper, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can write after this. We can definitely write a paper if that's what you'd like to do. If we can write a paper, it will take a slightly different format to the thesis. But you've done all the work for a paper. When you're writing a paper from your PhD, a lot of it is initially a bit of a cut and a paste, and then you rework it so you're not self-plagiarizing. But if that's what you'd like to do, once you've had some sleep,
Okay.
we can work on a paper. You just need to identify where you'd like that to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that sounds good.
Good.
Coolio. All right.
You've done a marvelous job. You really have. It's coming together really nicely, and Ming Chao and I are very, very happy with what you've done. So be proud of that. It's an extraordinary lot of work. You've done a lot of work. So just get through these next 2 days.
Okay.
We're down
And then
to 2
put in
days
an
now.
application for a PhD.
Yeah, put in an application for a PhD.
Okay.
We'll be happy to be your supervisors.
Okay.
She might not want us as supervisors.
Yeah, I want to, but I don't know if I can come back to Australia.
Yeah. So that's
No
the thing.
news
That's
yet from China? Like no news yet on
No, it was just
borders are opening.
No, it was there are 60 students who come to Australia per month now.
Yeah. So if you, let's say if you did want to do a PhD, if you got accepted into the PhD program, you would then become a priority, because the aim is for all Australian international students to be transferred to Australia. So you would get back to us if that's what you wanted to do.
Okay.
It would just be, they'd probably want to sort the current students first. So you'd probably have your PhD delayed until you could come on campus, or we would start it remotely. But that's something for later on. But
yeah,
I would definitely be willing to be willing to work with you if that's what you wanted to do. I'm very happy with your standard of work, so I think you are a PhD candidate. So
okay.
I think Ming Chao feels the same. So yeah,
She'll have to wait for her results to be out and all that.
you have to wait for your results and all that. So
So,
you've got
yeah.
time to chill. You've got time to relax. You do not have to get a PhD application in straight away. And sometimes it works well if you want to write that paper and you want to go for a scholarship for PhD. If you've got a published paper, that adds to your scholarship points.
Yes.
So sometimes strategically, if you want to get a paper written and get it published and then apply for PhD, that also works.
Okay.
So there are many different ways. The message is you don't have to go in straight away to PhD, because you deserve a little bit of a break, but you know, and you might want that break, but there is no urgency. PhD applications can be made any time of the year, and scholarship rounds are a couple of times a year, so you're not stuck to one timeline.
Okay.
We can talk more about that once we've got this in.
Yeah, I need to complete my thesis now.
Yeah, we need to complete your master's work first.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. We'll leave you be. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning in Australia time. We need your completed thesis, my dear.
Okay.
It's getting close.
Okay.
You can do it.
Yeah.
We have
Thank you
utmost faith. All right. We are on email if you need us.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Okay. See you
Bye.
tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.